Now we're going to have a little bit of a break from the format for our next speaker because Charlie Hilton from Bordertown in South Australia is actually a 2003 scholar. Now, most of us wish we could do a second Nuffield scholarship. I don't know how many of us wish we could do the presentation bit again, but Charlie's going to get another shot at it. And Charlie's not going to be talking about his research, he's going to be talking about some challenging aspects of his life over the last couple of years. Welcome, Charlie.
Crisis happens in our life. How we react will determine the outcome and the person. I went to a presentation by Julian Burton, who was a Bali bombing victim. And that was in 2011. I went to his presentation, and that was one of his take-home messages about crisis and dealing with crisis. And it sort of hit the spot with me at the time because I was in the middle of going through stomach cancer. And I believed that stomach cancer was caused by having a crisis which affected me at the start of 2011. And that was a financial crisis. We'd had a couple of bad years in farming, and then we lost a crop with that wet summer we had there. So I reacted very badly to that, and that's what I believe gave me the cancer. We get in our life, there's all sorts of, crisis can come in different ways. It can be minus financial, it can be an emotional crisis like a marriage breakdown, it can be a death of someone close to you, and it affects people differently. And how we react is very important to it. If we react badly, we can end up with health issues. We can end up with it can cause a marriage breakdown or relationship breakdown. It can lead to depression or even suicide. I've got a friend who's an ambassador for Beyond Blue, and he always tells me throws these statistics and there from what's actually happening out there in society. And which I find just extraordinary. One of the things he said is about the suicide rates in Australia and depression. And just put in context a bit, perhaps in 2011, the road toll in Australia was 1,277 people were killed on Australian roads there. So, which is shocking in itself. Suicide. How many people do you think suicide in Australia in 2011? There. Less than that? More than that? Yeah. 10% more? 50% more? 2,273 people suicide in 2011 in Australia. Males made up 73%. We're really not very good at coping with crisis, are we? And rural areas, it's disproportionately high, and 35 to 50-year-olds make up one of the highest sections of it. So you can see why is this? What's happening? What are guys doing? What's tipping us over the edge? To me, I thought I was nearly 50, and I thought, in farming, by the time I get to 50, I'm going to have the farm, everything all sorted out in the farm. All that debt stuff's under control. The kids will be, nearly left school or virtually all left school, and life's pretty rosy really at 50. Suddenly I get to nearly 50, find we've got more debt than what I've ever had before. Farming's just been turned on its bloody head. And I'm going, and I'm a Nuffield scholar, and I've met some of the cleverest, great, way more clever than me, people in the world, and I still can't get it right. Like, what on earth's going on? And I think that's what happens to a lot of guys. They get to 50 and think, everything should be pretty rosy now, and suddenly we get hit by a freight train by one reason or another. So, what do we need to do about this? What skills do we need? How do we stop this happening? How do we learn to overcome this crisis, this tragedy? How do we deal with it? I think, we need to look at perhaps, we spend so much time and effort on our family and on our business there. How much effort do we put into our personal development and well-being? How many hours in the last year did you spend on developing your skills in your well-being there to make yourself, your individual, as robust and strong as what we want our business? Business, we have to embrace technology and embrace that damn OH&S and make it more efficient and all these things. But we also need to do that for ourselves so that then we can also, in our business, we can make our business stronger and to be able to cope with everything that's there. I think, so what we really need is strategies to be able to put in place so that when tragedy and crisis strikes us, we know how to handle it there. And I think, like a Nuffield scholarship, when we did that, we're away for 8 to 10 weeks. So all right, if the workshop burns down, the guys that are there, we tell them, well, this is who you need to bring, this is what you have to do. The family, if someone dies in the family, if mum carks it, we've got to bring this person, do this and that. So we had that all sorted out when we do a Nuffield scholarship. But then after that, we get back into business and everything, and we seem to not forget all about that. So what do we need to do? When crisis hits us, and I'm talking about something that only sort of every 10 or 20 years something hits us completely out of the blue there. We need to have strategies in place. And I think one of the first things we need to do is we need to break down what's actually the issue here. And like for me it was cancer, all right, what is it, how bad is it, what treatment do I need a second opinion? All right, you go through that right now, you just got to get on the roundabout and I'll kick you off when they're finished with you, and just don't ask too many questions. So which I have a little bit of trouble with. So I think generally we can do that pretty well, because being in agriculture, we have all these little issues and problems thrown at us on a daily basis. Oh yeah, we just deal with it and sort of move on. So that side of it, I think we're pretty good. But as far as the other side of it, the emotional side of it, the feeling side of it, if it's a financial one or emotional one, who do we talk to? Have we got a friend in place that we know that we can ring that person up and try and talk our way through it, get our feelings out there and our fears out there? And that might be a friend, and it might be someone different if it's on an emotion side or a financial side, or it may be a professional person that's got the skills. That's very much up to the person to determine that. But it's up to the person. We have to put that in place before something happens to us. Because while we're in a good place, we need that to be there. Because once we're in that bad place, we may not be able to think clearly and well enough to be able to do it. So we need to have a clear strategy there, or perhaps tell our partner or someone, hey, you need to go and talk to my husband because he's in a really bad place. So that needs to happen. I think the other thing we also need to do is to be able to learn to relax when we're really stressed out, learn how to relax there, how to zone out from that situation. For me, I got into meditation. I found that really good as far as treating with the cancer, keeping a positive mindset, and also just being able to zone out when everything turned to crap. So, but did I do that before I got sick? Hell no, I was too busy with the business and everything else. You only do it when you have to. So I think that was really helped me a lot. And another thing I think we need to remember is whatever it is that's happened at the time, most of our life's exactly the same. We've still got our family around us, we've still got our friends, we've still got the business, we've still got a roof over our heads, but there's been one drastic thing that's changed. But most things are still there. So, that's sort of some of the strategies I've put in place. I think, all right, my cancer was detected early, luckily, and it's been a good outcome there. But I feel very lucky to have had cancer and survived it, and it's given me the opportunity to really reevaluate my life and make changes to it, which I wouldn't have done. I still would have just been running around doing the farming family thing, and if I hadn't have had it. So it has been a blessing. I think other little changes I've made, I don't let the little stuff worry me too much now. If you've got something there, someone said or something happened, deal with it or talk to that person, or, and if you don't want to do that or it's not a big deal, just get over it. Like, life's too great and too busy to worry about all the little stuff that we tend to worry about too much. There. Meditation and relaxing, I do more now, and I find if you get stressed, you just stop and do that. Holidays, I think having time out of our business or what we're doing is very important. We like to travel, which has been good. For some people, that might mean, a week's holiday a year. It might mean overseas. It might mean over the back fence. It doesn't matter a damn. It's whatever suits you. But you need to make sure that you're doing that to be able to keep your head in a good space there. Some people it's 1 week, some people it's 10. I do 8 weeks holiday a year now. I don't take more, I won't take less. That's what I want to do. We like travel, and luckily we're in a family business where we can afford to do that, and we've got the people in place to be able to help us. And once again, thanks to Nuffield, that's really why I've been able to do that. Because Nuffield has got, you put systems in place that you don't have to be there and have to be hands-on the whole time. So that really has been helpful for me. Probably another thing I did post-cancer, I always thought, wouldn't it be great to get 14 of my best mates together and go on a fishing trip there. So I started doing a bit of research on that. We ended up in the Montebello Islands off Exmouth for a week with 14 guys. 14 guys, a bit like Jono and myself. So you can imagine there's a fair bit of fun had there on that. I haven't really got time to tell, no, not really any stories I can tell actually. The only thing I would suggest, if you ever think about trying to organise 14 guys, I tell you, talk about herding cats, but this is not domestic cats, this is wild cats. We are the most bloody hopeless people, and trying to organise something like that, you know, if it wasn't for if we had to make a payment, I'd send an email out, had to be done in 2 days. 2 days, 50% of the guys have replied. So it took 4 to 5 days. Like, you know, and it's had to be, you just got to get on to the wives and the partners. Can you organise this? You know, oh, he hasn't even seen that yet. I even had one guy, 2 weeks before we were leaving for a week's holiday, said, rang me up, when are we going again? Read your emails. Oh yeah, oh, I can't find it. So that was a great experience, and it's something we continue each year now. So, and probably in the when I got sick, I was doing my research on how to deal with cancer and everything there. One lady came up with, a thing that helped her was she gives thanks every day for something good that's happened, no matter how bad the day's been. So I started doing that, and that's actually been a really rewarding and fun thing to do. But I remember one time I was pretty crook in hospital for a few days, and I spent all day virtually hanging over the vanity or sitting on the toilet, and half the time trying to do both at the same time, which is a fair challenge, I can tell you. So eventually I got into bed, I go, oh, that's it, I just hope to get some sleep. Give thanks. But you've got to be kidding you. All right, well, I'm alive. I'm not thankful for that. The other jobs would be much better at the moment. This is crap. And they're like, well, perhaps if I was dead, my wife and the kids would have to organise a funeral and they'd be sad and all that sort of stuff. Oh, so that's something to be thankful for. Always find something to be thankful for. So, anyway, thanks for that. A final sort of comment would be, no matter what happens, this living paper is damn fun.